like 62 is like my average now. Like every time it's like I'm shooting 64 is a bad round, and 60 is a good round. It's kind of the way I gauge it now.
Today we are joined by Will Holcomb. Will played college golf at Sam Houston State. While there, he led the Bearcats to their first national championship appearance. Will also played in the 2019 USAM, where he beat Ludwig Aberg, Pearson Coody, and Carl Phillips on the road to the semifinals. Recently, Will just won his first professional event on the All-Pro Tour. Thanks for joining us. Let's start at your junior year. Tell us how you got into playing golf. I know that you guys, I've heard kind of the story about how you grew up on the country club, 9 holes, and had a lot of fun with the crew there. Tell us kind of how you got there and what that was like.
Yeah, so my dad lived in Crockett, and he bought a little piece of property, and he was going to, build a house and a pool, and kind of, I guess you could say, the American dream on it. And while that property was under construction or whatever, it was in like a country neighborhood, like where everybody's got like 5 acres or something. And while that was going on, they sold their house in town, and my grandma basically had a weekend home at the country club, which, looking back, I don't know why people would do that. Like, it's literally a 10-minute drive, but so she had this little cabin out there, and so we went and lived out there in the cabin. And then the country club, like, not after that, decided to build a pool not too long after that. So my dad was like, I guess he got a little taste of it, and he's like, man, we can play golf, and they got tennis courts and basketball court and swimming pool, and I don't have to pay directly for it, you know what I mean, kind of deal. And so they liked it out there, and they're like, okay, well, they talked to my grandma and bought the cabin from her, and then added on to the cabin, and that's still their current home. So it's kind of weird, like they're adding on, or they added on way too much, and then they're like renovating it right now. My parents they're like, I mean, it's just, stuff was falling apart in the freeze. They had holes in the wall from the pipes busting and all kind of stuff. So they're redoing it right now, and so they're living back in the cabin, and they've got like a hot plate and stuff. So it kind of reminds me of the humble beginnings there. Whenever we were real little, me and my sister and parents living in this 1,200 square foot cabin. So, but basically we move out there. Sorry, I got way off track. I do that a lot. And we move out there, and my dad gets a golf cart, and I'm like 6 years old, and summer comes, and me and my friends, they're like, one's 8 and one's 7, and they're still like really good friends to this day. Talked to one of them yesterday, and we literally go out on the golf course all day, every day, and just play golf. And then we get tired of golf, we go jump in the pool. Then we get tired of that, then we ride the trails with the golf carts. And then we get tired of that, we might go play basketball. Might go tubing on one of their parents' boats or whatever. And then we go play golf again. So it was really just a lot of golf, and just being fun, having a kid, or being like a kid, having fun, and growing up. So it was a great place to grow up, and just kind of made you want to play golf. And my mom just, I guess, saw some potential in me, and was like, well, let's do like tournaments. I mean, I don't know how she found out about it, but they have Little League and all this other stuff for kids, so they might have something for golf. And so we drove down in Houston area and played tournaments, starting when I was like 8. And my 8-year-old season, I didn't get a medal until the last tournament, and I got like 5th place, and it was just like, just I loved it. And so when I was 9, I got like a medal every tournament when I was 9, and got a lot better. And then, but I was getting like really frustrated, like not healthy for a 9-year-old, like, and I don't know how or why, but I told my mom, I was like, I don't really want to play when I'm 10. And so we did other stuff for a couple summers. And then my sister started wanting to play competitive golf. And she was like I guess I was probably 12 and she was 14 or 15. And she was going into high school. And so she got into tournaments. And, well, if we're taking one kid, let's just take them both. And so then we were off again, playing golf tournaments again. So, and then I just never looked back since then. So it was a interesting road, but a good one.
That is cool. When did you start playing, more higher level golf as far as on the amateur side as a junior, and start realizing that there were a lot of bigger tournaments, outside of not just Crockett, but outside of Texas, and playing and competing in those?
For sure. And so when I was 13, I just, like, Rory was at the height of his career. Not that he's not now, but, it was like, I would say it was, there for a couple of years, it was like probably as close to Tiger as far as dominancy for, when he won at Kiowa and U.S. Open at Congressional. And so I was like, he was 23. And I was like, where do I see myself in 10 years? And I was like, I want to be that guy, like, just loved the way he played and so free spirited and, he's serious, but just kind of had that, when he gets that bop in his shoulders and you're like, uh-oh, we better watch out. And so that's whenever the page kind of turned where I was like, I'm going to do this really seriously. And I was like, if I want to be the best, I'll just practice like crazy. Not that that was wise, because I would hit 6 buckets of 7-irons, just rapid fire. And looking back, it's like I would never do that now. I wouldn't even hardly hit a bucket of one club, and I'm not gonna hit more than a bucket of range balls anyways. A day. I'm gonna go hit shots and stuff. And so, but then I started getting a little better, and like I remember, I think I was a freshman or sophomore, and that's whenever we're like try to work on the AJGA stars and try to figure out how to get in tournaments. And so I started playing a little better then. And then I guess really I didn't know about – I thought Texas – hey, I didn't know what the U.S. Junior was. I only tried to qualify for the U.S. Junior one time in my whole junior career, and I qualified. But I was like, I didn't know. I just was from Crockett. My parents didn't know. They probably asked somebody. It's the only reason I played that one qualifier. Because somebody was like, hey, you need to try to qualify for this. But I would say around 14 or 15, I realized, there's a bigger – I knew there was a bigger world because I'd been playing junior tournaments, but I really grew in that. And to my parents' credit, like, if somebody from Crockett watches this, they might be mad, but like all the kids out there, like, some of them play tournaments, but it wasn't to the extent that like we did, like I did. And it wasn't on like the level that I did. And so it was kind of, I think that really helped me see a world outside of Crockett, and really helped expose my game that like, yeah, you might be the best here, but like what value is that? It's not that valuable, And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got into those bigger tournaments.
So you were playing all these tournaments around Texas, working really hard at your game. And in 2016, you won the Texas State 3A High School State Championship. So tell us a little bit about how you progressed and got to that point, and what allowed you to make that progression.
Yeah. So really, I was like a nut about hard work, and it's just funny because it's like it's almost tapered off. I've just seen this, like, not that I don't work hard now, but I work wise. Like, I'm not gonna just like I'm not solely focused on golf. Like, that's not who I am as a person. That's not, I'm married. I have a dog. I got a house. I got so many other irons in the fire that yes, golf is important to me, but I'm not like gonna go practice and work out for 12 hours a day. It's just not going to happen when I'm home, especially. And so, but back then, that's all. That was who I was as a person. That was everything I did. My whole identity was in how I performed on the golf course. And I remember my junior year. I'm going to go ahead and just answer one of the questions I read on there. The lowest point of my golf career was my junior year at state. So when I was in like 8th grade, Jordan Spieth comes out and he's like winning all the state championships. He might have been a freshman when I was in 8th grade, a freshman at UT, and then he turns pro and he won 4 state championships, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'm like, I can win 4. I'm 3A. He played 5. He played a decent schedule. I'm playing, I only got to beat 2 people. He had to beat 15, and so my junior year I come out and I'm thinking I'm going to win state. I won regionals, feeling good, and I'm telling you, I went and laid an egg. I shot like 75 the first day, which I was in contention. I think I was 2 or 3 back, and then literally like 85, like just complete disaster, totally results oriented. It was the worst experience I've had on the golf course, and like the next 3 hours, the ride home, like I literally bawled my eyes out. Like I just was so frustrated and dejected from just, I thought I was going to win, you know what I mean? And so I remember my parents, they're not really involved in golf. Like they don't tell me to practice. They just support, whatever you want to do. And so we're on the ride home and my dad's just asking me questions to help me think about, well, what went wrong? And, just kind of, I don't know. And to get me to quit, I guess, bawling my eyes out and just, I was so pissed off. And there's 17, there's a lot of hormones and emotions going around anyways. And so, but that was my worst moment on the golf course. But then I learned a lot from that and I grew from that. Obviously I was like, I'm going to work harder. And then I started getting more into some sports psychology stuff. And my senior year, I literally wrote on my arm, like, process. And I think I wrote something else, but it's like, I was just like, I'm going to focus on the process. And it ended up working out and I won. So
that's really cool. So it's kind of interesting that you actually wrote process on your arm. Something that I've been trying to ask all our guests is, how do you approach your pre-shot routine? What's your mental conversation look like in your pre-shot routine? And do you have a mantra that you tell yourself, or is it different every time?
I would say it's different week to week. If I pick up on something that I really think will help or really resonates with me, I'll stick there. I'll stay there. For instance, I played really well in Victoria and in the APT there, and the whole time I was telling myself like one look, like I was doing my routine, then I would go 1 look, 2 look, 3 look, detach, or 1 look, 2 look, 3 look, let it go. Like I wanted to do something that just like where I just just get out of my own way. And so that like conscious speaking of that, I didn't speak it out loud, but in my head, the conscious speaking just kind of got me out of the way where I could then just be an athlete and perform the shot. But my pre-shot routine, I do everything in threes. I don't know why. That's just kind of what I started doing whenever I was a freshman in high school until I knew what a pre-shot routine, or a freshman in college until I knew what a pre-shot routine is. About 2 weeks before conference, coach comes up to me and says like, dude, your routine is horrible. And I'm like, well, what's a routine? I don't even know what that is, man. I just get up there and hit it, see the ball, hit the ball. And that really was one of the biggest. I got probably 4 shots better when I got a routine. That was all I needed was a routine, some way to, and, just kind of detach so I could just hit the shot. I wouldn't be like milking it or, something like that. And so, but anyways, I do 3 practice swings. I like bring the club and work it in. I work my elbow into my side about 3 times. And then, I look at the target 3 times and then pull the trigger. So that's my routine. And that's kind of, it changes week to week, but, my mantras and different things. But I won the Merito Amateur, and I was like, the whole time I was like, I was in like, I don't know, I was just in this place where I was like, I have eternal salvation, so I'm not going to worry about hitting it in the water here. You know what I mean? I was just like, I know Jesus. Why am I afraid of Merito? And so I just was like, just super bold and played great that week. So it changes week to week. Somebody asked me, well, do you do that every week? And I was like, I tried to do it after that. And it's like, I tried to do the detach after that, but didn't always work. It's just like some things resonate week to week. And so I hope I keep finding those mantras, better ones every week, and keep playing well.
That's perfect. Cutting back to college, you said you didn't know what a pre-shot routine was till you got to college. Walk us through how you got to Sam Houston State and how that kind of played out for you, because there's a lot of fireworks towards the end of that time too.
Oh yeah. So my junior year, after I go to state, it was funny. The week before state, my junior year, I started working with a guy named Brad Larden in College Station. Brad's a really good player and a really good instructor. He's out in Santa Fe, New Mexico now, but his wife is from Crockett, and one of my dad's friends basically introduced them. And so my dad's friend refers me to Brad, and is like, so I start going to Brad and getting lessons and stuff. And he didn't say anything before state my junior year, because he's like, you just won regionals, but he knew there was some stuff wrong. So then I lay an egg at state, and then I go back to him like a week later, and he's like, yeah, dude, like I saw it coming the whole time. I was like, well, it's good you didn't say anything, but I wish you kind of would have. It's just kind of that weird, awkward moment. And but anyways, I started working with him, and I got like, he made me hit pull cuts for like 2 weeks. I was just way inside out and flipping my hands at the ball, and so if my timing was off, I wouldn't hit it very good. And so I hit pull cuts for like 2.5 weeks and went back to him. And then he's like, just don't hit pull cuts. Just try to hit it straight or whatever. And I really took off that summer. I qualified for the U.S. Junior, qualified for the Junior PGA. I played well in some other tournaments, but those two tournaments those are awesome. Those are like majors in junior golf, and played well at both of them. The U.S. Junior, I had a lot of nerves the first round, and then so just kind of got behind the 8 ball and couldn't make it up. And then the Junior PGA was in College Station, and he worked at Miramont, which was where it was hosted. So I knew exactly where to hit every shot, and I played really, really pretty good there. I played a bad third round, but I think I got top 20 or something, and played outstanding for me, coming from Crockett and not even knowing what the Junior PGA was, and then, almost, being in contention for 5 minutes there. I was pretty excited about that. But he knew Brant, the coach at Sam Houston, and so he, when looking at schools, he knew him, knew he was a good guy. That obviously settled well with me. And then when we went on a visit, me and my mom we loved Coach. He was just, it's weird because looking back, like, I think he's not a flashy recruiter, and I don't think he's a good recruiter, but he just, like, I don't know. I feel like he could be a better recruiter. Coach could. He's a great coach though. And so I think just my mom was really wise. She didn't see the superficial things that, most kids and parents see that, like, makes them want to go to a school, and just kind of saw the simplicity and genuineness in Coach. And so after I went on my visit, it was my only visit I went on. I was kind of between Sam and UTSA, and I didn't want to go to Rice because I had to study too hard. And UTSA emailed me, and they were like, yeah, we filled up our spots. And I was just like, I called Brad, my instructor, and I was like, hey, I want to go to Sam because I got basically nowhere else to go that I want to go. And so he called Coach, and then he called me back. He said, it's a done deal. He's going to call you tomorrow and give you an offer or whatever. And so it was, after that, I was Sam Houston forever. So, and here we are, Huntsville, Texas.
That's a pretty big haul for Sam Houston, right? I don't know what the recruiting was like. I think they were top 50 the year they recruited you.
Yes, they were good.
Golf stat wise, but you were seventh in Texas on junior golf scoreboard and 142nd in AJGA polo rankings, which is very solid in the junior world, obviously. What was it like coming in there? Like we talked about the pre-shot routine, but as far as actually playing the golf, a lot of the guests we talked with, the golf kind of changes, the courses change, and also the people you're playing with change, as well as the lifestyle that comes with it.
For sure. For sure. So going into Sam Houston, man, I thought I'm just going to go in. I mean, it's just like when I was a freshman in high school, I was like, I'm winning state freshman year. I don't care what the numbers say. I'm going to find a way, and that's kind of always been who I am as a person, is just like find a way. It doesn't matter how it looks. We're going to find a way. And so my freshman year, I remember going in and and looking back, I totally see it. I was just raw, man. I was just like competitor, you know, super aggressive. And so I really, I wanted to learn and get better, and I did. I think that was one thing that helped me get better faster was I sought out the best players on the team. I went and talked to coach. I didn't make the first tournament I played as an individual. I didn't make the next two or three, and I wasn't far off, but nobody likes to stay at home, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I would literally go after every qualifying round. The next day I'd go in the coach's office and we'd break down my round and say, like, this is where I'm losing shots. And so that really helped me develop rather quickly, especially coming in. I mean, it's hard to develop as a freshman because you're developing in school, you're developing and living on your own. It's a lot. There's a lot more to it than just developing in golf. And I think asking the right questions and getting that help from coach and my teammates really helped me grow and get better faster. So that's one thing that really helped, was just asking questions and being like, where am I and why am I not, in the number one spot kind of thing. So
Kind of going back to that last question that you answered. So you play in the U.S. Junior. What was it like not knowing about the U.S. Junior and then showing up and being like, oh my gosh, this is pretty official?
yeah, man, it was great. It was just like, I didn't know, it was the purest golf course I'd ever played on. It's totally beautiful. Like, I think
Where was it at?
It was at Colleton River in South Carolina. And like my friend, the guy who caddied for me and him fly out like by ourselves. He's like a couple years older than me. And we played the practice round, and my dad drove out behind us because you never know how long you're going to be there or whatever. And so the course is just magnificent. It's hard. Like, I'd never probably played a golf course that challenging, and it probably played into my strengths because I was like, the only way I can play this is just like, sometimes I'm going to have to make up and down and just be super conservative and not, try to hit a hero shot every time, because if I do, I'm going to make some eights and, make some big numbers. And so, but like, they feed you the food, and it was like the practice balls were like pure, man. Pro V1Xs, like, we're from Crockett, man. We have Pro V1Xs on our range because people duck hooking on number one, So it was a crazy experience. I remember like Juan Jun Lee was really good at that time. I don't know. I think he's still playing, but I really don't know. But I was like, just there was a bunch of great players and stuff, and we spent hours on the range in the practice green and played 2 full practice rounds. And looking back, we just burnt out. We just sizzled before we could even get hot. We were done. Just we're in over our head, and that's just a learning experience. But it is what it is.
As you got to college and you got to working with the team, did you learn better how to handle practice rounds and what to really go out there and do?
Dude, I thought these guys were like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're like the smartest people I've ever been around, because I was just like, I don't even know what I thought about a practice round, man. I was just like, I mean, half the time we were just gambling in practice rounds in junior golf anyways, and just trying to shoot a score. But yeah, I didn't know that you aim away from pins. I didn't know a lot of things until I got to Sam Houston, and I didn't know what short side was. I just thought, if I hit it in that bunker right there and I'm real close to the pin, I'm gonna hole it out. If I'm plugged, I'll just hit it fat and it'll hit the flagstick and fall straight in. It's kind of just a delusional world of just like, find a way, and so that really changed at Sam Houston, and seeing how you play a golf course and hit to the fat sides and choose the right clubs off of tees to optimize your game, and so.
That makes sense. So first year, you had a scoring average, I think, of 74.95, and you came in third at conference. Then second year, you had a scoring average of 71.89, and you played the first semester on a broken foot.
Yeah, my right foot. So I got married in the summer after my freshman year, and we can go into that here in a second if you want to. And then I broke my foot. They said I broke it before the wedding, but we were at the reception, and I took a step on my right foot, like we were dancing, and I took like a heavy step on my right foot, probably like 90% of my weight, and I just like felt this sharp pain. And so I tried to hobble on it a couple of days, and then I go to the doctor, broken foot, and I was like, my poor wife, I was probably like just distraught. Like, I'm not going to be able to play golf. I don't know what I'm going to do and all this stuff. And so then I get a boot, and I went and tried to hit some balls, and I went and played, and I was horrible. And the next day I don't know, it's like me and coach had the same thought at the same time. And it was like, if I can just get my foot to turn over, then I can still turn and get through the ball. And so the next day I went out to Raven's Nest, and we were working on it, and we were just like, if we can get that foot to just turn over, then we'll be able to hit it good. And I started puring the 6-iron, and I was like, what? This is crazy. And I didn't think it was going to be true. So I go home, and I'm playing in the game in Crockett, and I shoot like 62. And before this, they're like, we don't even know where to put you on what team and stuff. And I shoot like Crockett's easy. Okay. Like 62 is like my average now, like every time it's like I'm shooting 64 is a bad round, and 60 is a good round. It's kind of the way I gauge it now. But at the time, like I was like in a boot, and so I played amazing, and I was like, I can actually do this. And we had a bunch of transfers and stuff. And so the first qualifier, I remember I was like, I'm going to have to play good, just, be on the team. And, after 9 rounds of qualifying, I rose to second, and then kind of just never looked back after that. Went to the first tournament, and I was just like kind of back in that routine, and, focus on the little things, the things I can control. And I think the boot helped me get out of my own way. It helped me a lot mentally, just kind of like, less expectations. It limited my shot shaping and stuff. And so just kind of almost handcuffed me in a way where I could control the ball and did what I needed to do and not more, or try to do more. So I had a great semester, and I still have tons of videos, swing videos with the boot. And if I could swing like that, I would, but my swing's just got a little bit more upright since then. So
I'm curious, do you take swing videos every time you play in a tournament, or do you just kind of play that by feel?
Yeah, I'll look at stuff if I feel like I'm struggling going into a tournament. But to be honest, like I'm probably not as diligent about that as I should be, even when I'm playing well. I'm just not big on. I don't know what to look for. I know there's a few things that I know I have to do for the ball to cooperate correctly, and so I'm not a big video guy, and I just kind of always been more like raw, what the ball's doing kind of guy. So, yeah, no, not a ton, not a ton.
I gotcha. So, also something that we definitely need to talk about is your run at the 2019 U.S. Amateur.
Yeah.
You had to face a number of big players throughout those matches, and you knew you were a great player coming in. We obviously know you're a great player, but to some of the outsiders looking in, you might not have had the prestige or high rankings as some of these guys. And just to give you an idea, in your round of 32 match, you had to play Ludwig Adberg, who's been ranked as high as number 2 in the world. And then in your round of 16 match, you had to play Pearson Cootie, who's been ranked as high as number 1 in the world. And then in your round of 8 match, you had to play Carl Phillips, who's been ranked as high as number 9 in the world. And you beat all those guys. So how did you approach those matches knowing that you might have not had the pedigree or maybe experience as those guys?
For sure. I think one thing is ignorance is bliss. Like, I'm from Crockett, Texas. I don't know who the hell Ludwig is. I mean, he's from Sweden. I know who he is now, and looking back, yeah, it was definitely an awesome win. I'm glad I caught him on that day. But really, the way, I mean, man, I got in as a first alternate. You know, made the cut. Then the first round, I mean, I just, it was a little of me and a lot of him that helped me out. And I mean, if you look at the percent chance I win the first round, I think it was like 4% chance through 10 holes. I was like four down through 10. And this guy just, I guess, was cruising. He's like, just par. And, I'm going to win. And I played good coming down the stretch, and he didn't. He had something going on with his swing, man, where he'd either hit like a pull or like a little swipe. And so, like I heard him say on a couple, like I win 11, I think I birdied. And so I get down to three back, and then 12, he's like, I'm going to make sure I get through this one. Well, he got through it and hit it left, and then he's in the fescue and makes bogey. So now I'm only, 2 down, and then we might tied 13, and I think 14 he swipes it short right, and I win 14. I really don't know the exact. All I know is I was 1 down going into 17, and it's a front right pin, and like if you hit it right and short, you're toast. And I was like, it was like I was just begging for him to hit this little swipe where it comes up like 5 yards short, and he does it. And I hit 6 iron in the center of the green, 2 putt, and we're tied going into 18. And it's like, I mean, at that point, once you're there, you're going to win. I mean, it'd be really hard for him to win. But I think I was just in a position of just total gratitude. And here's a fact for y'all and the listeners: gratitude cannot exist in your brain with anxiety existing in your brain. So I'm on cloud nine. I mean, I'm just happy to be here. You know what I mean? And so I think that really took me the whole way, and I think that really helped me just, it's perspective kind of thing. And so I just kind of focused on what I was doing in those other matches. And I remember I had Ludwig pretty good ways down, and he kind of made a charge, and I just kept telling myself, like, this is a character builder. Like, you're going to have a match where you need to pull something out, or, and you're going to lean back on this. And it worked out. That is exactly kind of what happened. And then the next match I'm playing Pearson. I think I played Pearson. I can't tell the two apart. I know I played a Cootie, and I'm playing him, and it's pretty knotted up. And I was just like, I relied on that, that character that I built, and that just kind of, just like, hey, even if you're 3 up with 3 to go and he ties it and we go to 19, like, it's just building character. It's just going to make you tougher and harder to beat later on. So don't look at it as a downside. Look at it as like a growing experience. And so I think I just had a really good perspective on everything. I had a really good caddy, and I was just happy to be there. I was just enjoying the moment. Never been on a stage that big with a spotlight like that. And so I think it just kind of pulled me through. So, and then I think now I'm talking about this, I think it's kind of ironic because I played really well at the national championship, and I had the same situation. I wasn't supposed to be there. I was very, fortunate to be in that position. It wasn't like I did some stuff to deserve it, but like it was just, I think that's probably a lot of where the success comes from is just like perspective.
When I was doing some research for this podcast, something really struck me was a comment that you made after you lost your final match in the U.S. Amateur. So as we all know, as everybody knows, the top 2 players in the U.S. Amateur get the invitation to the Masters, and you made it to the semifinal match. So you essentially were playing a match for Masters invitation. And after you ended up losing that match, you made a comment to a reporter, or I'm not sure who it was to, but you said, I never even thought about playing in the Masters. What do you think allowed you to have such good mindfulness and ability to focus during that match with everything at stake? Because I know I would be freaking out. This is for the Masters. That would be all I could think about.
No, I mean, once you've made it that far, it's like, I mean, I think your mind naturally, maybe it went there. I don't really remember the day that well. I mean, like when stuff like that, it's like your wedding day. Like people like spend all this money on their wedding. I'm like, you won't remember one thing. You're going to like your adrenaline, just, it's like, you're not going to remember that much. I remember a lot more of the other matches than I do necessarily that last match, because it was just so, I mean, there's thousands of people. I've got friends and family that flew in, and they're cheering me on, and I'm just getting to experience this with them, and but so I don't know if I didn't think about it or I did, but a little bit. I know I was never hitting a shot, and I was in the place of, hey, this is for the Masters or anything. I never was in that place. I was definitely the whole time just more concerned about what I'm trying to do here in this moment and staying present. But I think the help. I remember the interview. I literally said, if you're thinking about it, you had no chance to be. I mean, you have no chance to play to begin with, and so just that kind of. I don't know. I was just like, I don't have a chance. I don't have any other options, because if I want to win, if I'm thinking about the Masters, I'm not going to win.
Perfect. So you talked about some of the same feels you had at Pinehurst. You had at the national championship, because you kind of weren't supposed to be at Pinehurst, kind of weren't supposed to be at the national championship. Walk us through your senior year, because 2019 you're all conference, scoring average 71.74. 2019-2020 you had a shortened season, scoring average 71.79. Walk us through that 2020-2021 season and going through regionals, nationals, et cetera, that storyline.
Yeah, I had a good year. I didn't have I didn't have like a great year. So I started working with a sports psychologist right I guess after the first start of COVID, like summer 2020, like right after the North South. I started working with a sports psychologist, and that really I felt like helped my game a lot. I played really well in the fall in some just non-school tournaments, the Merido AM, the Trinity Forest AM, and then I go and we get back into school golf, and I just I didn't even win a tournament last year, and so that was frustrating. But I really had a good mindset, and just what the things that we'd been working on, staying present, and so I think a couple things helped me play well at the end of the season. I think one is I was off a lot. And I think people lose touch about college golf. When you're on a college golf team, it's like any other job. You're working with several people. You have to deal with their burdens, and you have to, you're around them all the time. And sometimes that can just be a lot. And so I think, like, we played conference, and I was playing well, but just like you're working out, you're studying, you're doing all these things. And then on top of that, you have like these relationships with your teammates, who I love all my teammates to death, but it's like, you're just going to have conflict. And so it's just like being married or something. I mean, you're just going to have things that you have to work through. And so that, and then the practice load and stuff, and, a coach telling you this is what he wants you to do, and you might have had a different idea of how you wanted to practice that day. And so it's kind of like being your own boss versus having a boss. And I think there's great benefits to playing college golf. I'm not saying that, anything that coach didn't benefit me, because it all did. But I think that I had, right after conference, my granddad passed away, which had been kind of something that I was also dealing with, that, and my parents just having to deal with that. And like, I went to Florida several times to go see him before he passed. And then we played conference, and then he passed. And so I went to St. Louis for his funeral for 2 or 3 days. And I just got to relax and reminisce about the good old days with him, and spend time with my family up there, and my family from down here that went up there. And so it's kind of, I don't want to say a vacation because it's a funeral, but it was just like kind of a time to rest. And so and then we go play regionals, and I go, and I played well the first 2 rounds after not really feeling like I was coming into it with much stride in my game. I had a lot of questions about what putter I was going to use, and just really, really felt pretty anxious, but played great. And then team gets through, and I'm super grateful. But then I have to quarantine because I have COVID, and so I'm not around the team for, a week. And so they're practicing and I'm practicing, and it's just like, I don't know. Then when I got back around them, it was like almost like another jolt of energy, because I was like missing them, you know what I mean? Even though, like, sometimes they annoy me and all kind of stuff, which I annoy them too. But it's just part of a working relationship, as y'all probably know, between just the two of y'all. So anyways, that just kind of I think the main thing was I was very well rested, and had a lot of perspective of gratitude and that sort of thing. And so it just kind of put me in a good place to go and compete well.
So we know the story really well about how you had to quarantine because of COVID at regionals, but just kind of tell us a little more in depth about how that whole thing went down.
Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and share my thoughts on COVID, because I don't have many that are very positive. But anyways, we're at regionals, and they test after the first round. This is another thing that people don't talk enough about. So they test when you get there, and they test after the first round. So we all get there. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to test, even though, that doesn't really work that often. So we get there and we get tested. Nobody's positive. We're all good. I'm rooming with the individual, Jack. He's also the other captain, and just like great guy to room with and stuff. So we're rooming together. We all test. Nobody's positive. It's supposed to rain the whole week. So they said, we're going to just play as much golf as we can from start to finish, and we're going to try to get 54 holes in, because they didn't want the whole Baton Rouge thing reoccurring in Stillwater. And which Sam Houston was affected by that too, which is another, Bush League moment of college golf. But anyways, we're sitting there, and we're all good, cleared, and we're supposed to play 36 holes on Carson Creek the first day, which is a whole lot of golf, and that golf course is not fun to walk. I mean, every time you finish on a green, then you got to walk like a couple hundred yards to the next tee, and then you got to walk back up to the tee, uphill, and then tee off, and then walk back 200 yards downhill, then get your car, and then So it's just it's a lot of walking, but played great the first 2 rounds, like literally putted unbelievable. And then we're in a great position. I'm in a great position personally. To be honest with y'all, I mean, selfish, but I was like, I'm not worried about the team. I'm trying to do me. Like, I'm just trying to make it through on my own because, I was like, I'm not in control of what they're doing, and it's just not going to help me. It's just another distraction layered on this already very distraction filled environment. And so in my mind, I was like, I'm going and I'm going to go play well, and I'm going to somehow catch up to Noah and win the tournament. And so that's all I'm thinking about, focus on. I get tested, I'm good. Then Jack, I don't know, he was like behind me or something, and so he gets tested and he's not there, and I'm like, I just didn't know. I just didn't know what was going on, and then I get a call like, well, Jack might have COVID. Like, we're going to test a bunch more, and so then I was like, well, I don't know how that affects me, and so I just eat dinner, focus on my stuff. I told Coach, I said, look, don't let me know tonight whether I get to play tomorrow or not, because it's another distraction. I'm just trying to focus on what I can control. And then the next morning, Coach comes to me and says, hey, they're not going to allow you to play. But the benefit of this, and the thing I said nobody talks about, is we played 2 rounds the first day. They were going to test after the first day whether we played 1 round or 2 rounds or whatever. So if we had not played that 2 rounds the first day, I wouldn't have been able to help the team for 2 rounds. They would have had 4 guys taking 4 scores for 2 rounds. Like, the percent chance of us making it then is a lot lower than us making it, the way we did. I just think, I still got to help for a good portion of the time. And so anyways, then we go and they I give them the big rah-rah speech in the morning while they're in the parking lot. And I literally thought there's some way I can play. I thought if I tee off at 3:00 in the afternoon, I can sprint by myself. I could play and I'll finish and be able to help the team. And the NCAA in all their wisdom, they didn't want to do something that the PGA Tour does, and they wanted to make it complicated. And, it's just, I'm anti-organization like that. That's just ridiculous, stupid, idiotic. There's tons of words. I can say them now. I would have said them after or that morning, but I didn't want them to pin me for unsportsmanlike conduct or something and not let my team go to the national championship, which they very easily could have done. And so, anyways, just complete lack of wisdom and just bunch of guys in suits telling us what we can do. So, yeah.
Exactly. So you guys end up qualifying, and then you go to nationals. What was it like playing in nationals and being back with the team?
Like I said, it was great because I had kind of a break, and then it's like we didn't even we were all happy to be there, and then like just the way they made it, and I was on the phone at regionals. My parents were watching, hearing what went on and transpired those last holes and how they got it done. Guys chipping out from the woods and making up and down from 100 yards to make par, just stuff like that. And so when you haven't even got to see them and hug their necks, it's just everybody's just super happy to be there. And so that I think really kind of, I don't know, we just had a good, good vibes or feelings or whatever. We had a good kind of mesh of personalities and stuff before the national championship. So
very cool. So you finish up and then you go pro. What did you expect going pro to be like, and what has it actually been like?
Man, I don't know what I expected it to be. I thought, well, this is what I thought. I thought I'm going to come out there, I'm going to roll through Q school, I'm going to get me a card, Corn Ferry card, and then, I don't know, I'll figure it out after that, But I really didn't know. I mean, I battle internally like what I want to do with my life, because I really don't. I like golf. I don't love golf. I really love competing, and golf's an avenue for that. But I also have this other part of my heart that I'm like, I I want, I want to have kids. I want to, raise a family, and that's really hard to do in professional golf. Um, and so I think I just kind of battled with that a little bit early, and I spent a lot of time in prayer and just like, Lord, if this isn't for me, just let me know. And it's kind of crazy because I feel like every time I've kind of questioned those things, it's like I play well and I'm like reassured, like, no, this is where I want you. Like, I'll call you somewhere else if I want you somewhere else. And so I'm just trying to be faithful where I'm at, with the Lord, and then also just be committed to that. So, like, I mean, this is even to the extent I'm in Victoria and I'm on the like my 10th or 11th hole, and I've been doing everything right. This is the first round, doing all the right things. I'm process oriented. I'm really focused on one shot at a time. I'm like just trying to stay really present, and I'm doing a great job of all these things. And I literally, like, for a second, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And you don't want your mind to go to that place in a golf round. And so I'm in the middle of the round, and I just was like everything you do it as if you're doing it unto the Lord. And I actually finished the round okay, and maybe I shot one over or one under, and Victoria's not really an easy golf course. And then the next day I come out, shoot 8 under, and I'm leading the tournament. And so it's like just kind of that. I battle with that, but then also I think the thing that people don't understand about being a professional golfer is you're running a business. They hear that and they think, oh yeah, you're running a business, you go play golf. No, like, I'm scheduling all my stuff. I'm taking care of my hotel, my tournaments. I got to figure out what tournaments. I think the biggest, I'm trying to raise money, trying to get sponsors. I've got, obviously, I can see my hat, Stealth Vision, and Pave Group, Crockett Dental Care. So, like, I had to get little contracts for that, and I had to talk to people and negotiate and get everything kind of where I can, I didn't really want anybody backing me, but I was just trying to find some logos just to help kind of fund me year to year. And so, anyways, just the business side of it, people just don't get it. I mean, they have no clue, and just trying to figure that out, I think is the biggest difference. I already scheduled all my amateur stuff, and so, I mean, the airfare and the booking the tournaments isn't that bad. That's, I think, the easy part. I think just staying in contact with like these guys. Like, I had wrist surgery a couple weeks ago, and just letting them know, like, hey, I'm not playing for a couple months, and so, just being in touch with them, and then also, like, I mean, anytime I see someone, they ask me about, like, that I know, they're always asking me about how it's going and this and that. And they're just trying to be good friends, but it wears you down as a person, because you're like, I'm so much more than a golfer. Like, no one asks you how you're doing. They're like, how's the tournaments going? You been making any money? It's like, okay, easy. It's like, not, hey, how's your wife? And, how are you doing? It's more like, how's your career doing? And so I think there's just a lot of things I've learned and I've grown in. And like in March, I played like back to back to back, like 3 weeks and qualifiers in between. And I really grew a lot, just trying to, like, what's too much, what's too little. And I'm still trying to balance that out, because I only did that for a month, and I probably need to do it for a year till I really can master that and optimize it in order to perform my best, every time that I do step into a tournament. And so I'm just trying to figure that out too, because I don't want to get to the Korn Ferry Tour next year and be like playing horrible because I'm playing 8 weeks in a row. I got to figure out where that line is and kind of that sort of thing. I think is really a challenging part of this whole deal. And I mean, cuts are different. I mean, you don't have to worry about cuts in college golf, and really not too much in amateur golf, but that's a big thing. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's harder to make a cut than it is to win a tournament, so I've learned a lot, though. I know that's a fire hydrant coming at you.
That is perfect. And one particular point that I was interested in, you kind of found you're working on optimizing your schedule. What have you found so far? You said it's still going to grow, develop, but what have you found so far is the right cadence for you to be playing?
I think, well, it's a thing, like, people ask me, like, well, how much do you practice, or what do you do when you're home? Like, when I'm home, if I'm traveling 2 times that month and I'm gonna play, I mean, I kind of break it down into days in tournament. Like, there's 30 days in a month. How many days of a tournament am I playing? And when I say tournament, I mean practice rounds. I mean, that sort of thing. So let's just say I play in, like, let's say I play 2 tournaments, and then so I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 practice rounds. So that's 4, 8. That's like 10 days of golf in a month in tournament play. Plus you're driving 2 days. So let's just say like 12 or 14, because you're gonna practice the day before you leave, And so, like, when I am home, I'm not gonna touch a club. Like, on the weekends, like, I'm just gonna relax. I'm just gonna try to, just chill, And so, but I would say for me, I mean, I just kind of play it by how convenient is the tournament. This is kind of how I judge everything. How convenient is it to get there? How convenient is the stay? Like Victoria, I had a place to stay, so obviously it's just like I'm going to save $500 on the week. I need to play it. How like, how much money can you make? Because if you're paying in, like, I just want it proportionally to be solid. It's like people don't want to go play the Oklahoma Open because they don't want to pay, or they don't want to only be able to win 10 grand if you win. But here's the thing about the Oklahoma Open: you only pay 500 to tee it up, so it's really comparable to like an All Pro Tour event. And so I think just trying to find that balance of, hey, I feel where you feel too. Like, if I feel burnt out, or like if I just won a tournament, even though I might have felt burnt out the day before, well, I'm gonna go play the next week if I can, because when you win, it gives you that energy. Even if you get second, you're like, I'm playing good. I'm kind of catching my stride. You need to go play. You don't want to sit around, because not that you'll lose it, but there's things that you did in that tournament that led to success, and like maybe the words that you had in your head or something, and keep riding them. You know what I mean? You got to ride that pony till she breaks down. So that's kind of how I do it. I wouldn't say there's a direct method, because I just haven't done it consistently. I haven't, done it 3 months of go, 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 go. So I can't really say, hey, I'm going to get burnt out after 2 weeks. I need a week home, then go 2 more weeks.
So that leads, we have 2 more questions left. And one of them is the last question we ask every guest. So I'll ask that after this one. But what helps you keep perspective on and off the golf course?
That's I think I'm a follower of Jesus. I grew up going to church, but I didn't know who Jesus was until after I got married, and literally was just miserable in our first year of marriage. But then gave my life to the Lord, and our marriage has been awesome. We're coming on 5 years now, and so just really growing in Him. So I would say first and foremost, like, what Jesus did on the cross, and not the scores that I post, or the things that I have, or the presidents, and the gas prices. I mean, like, first and foremost, I'm rooted in Christ, and so I think that really helps keep perspective. And I mean, it even helps keep perspective. Like, I mean, I got brothers and sisters in Christ that are persecuted, and I'm not talking about made fun of. I'm talking about killed. So, I'm very blessed to live in a great country, and have the freedoms that we have here. So I think just being rooted in my faith is a huge thing that helps me keep perspective. I think being married, adds it's part of that, but it also adds to it. And so, just, I'm not the only one that matters, my wife matters and how her day matters. And so I think that really kind of helps, keep perspective and figure out what's important in life. Like I said, I mean, I want to play golf at this point in order to make enough money to then invest it and be able to work, but be my own boss and just raise kids and not have to, us both be away. I want to be really involved in my kids' lives. And so that's really kind of my goal is to, play until they're old enough where they couldn't, where it's a burden for them to travel with me and then hang it up and do something else unless the Lord keeps me where I am. But that's kind of my plan, which a lot of times that kind of gets blown up, but and that's my perspective about that. So
That is cool. Well, the last question we ask every guest is, now you're older, you know a lot more things. If you could go back to yourself as a junior golfer and tell yourself just one thing, what would it be?
I would tell myself a lot of things, but at the same time, it's like the road that I've been on, I love it. You know what I mean? Like I don't really wish anything was different. But like I think just I would help myself. I don't even know. One thing's tough. I would say probably I just teach them course management. I know that's a lot of stuff though. So maybe just routine if I only get one specific thing. But man, if I could coach, like if my kids want to play golf, we'd work a lot on like being reactionary to like our routine, not standing over the ball, not thinking so much. We'd work a lot on targets, on like commitment, on body language, take a big step, focus on small target, just some stuff that I didn't really necessarily have as a junior golfer. But like if I'd have had just these few tools, I mean, I feel like I could just bully the other kids, that didn't have those tools. So, and it's like I said, I'm competitive.
That is perfect.
Like Coach McGraw once said, if y'all were drowning, I would put a water hose down your throat, metaphorically speaking. So, and I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't want to beat you. I want to kill you. So, anyways.
That is perfect. And that's why we asked that question. That's why we have this series, is because we look back and we look at ourselves when we were junior golfers. And I was a late bloomer, very late bloomer, and obviously stopped playing in college due to injuries. Cooper was a late bloomer, and the mistakes that you make looking back, especially as a junior, are just painful. You're like, man, I wish I could go back and fix that for myself.
For sure.
And so we don't have that opportunity, but we have that opportunity to do it for others. So we appreciate you helping us with that.
Thanks for joining us today. Please do us a big favor and like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts so we can help others learn how to play better tournament golf. You can find us online at thetournamentcode.com, on Instagram at thetournamentcode, and on Twitter at tournamentcode. As always, feel free to reach out to us at those places or email us at daniel@thetournamentcode.com and cooper@thetournamentcode.com. We hope you join us as we continue to dive deeper into what it takes to play elite tournament golf.